everyone.
What's up guys, Unofficial MCU here, hope you're all doing well, and in this video, red flag alert, Kevin Feige on the potential of quitting Marvel amid different troubles going on with Marvel Studios and within the Marvel Cinematic Universe with their shows, movies, projects, and everything in between. This is exactly what we are going to be discussing in this video. Now, I just stumbled across this article here from The Direct. I'll have their article linked in the description down below. This is my first time even hearing anything about this, having Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, wanting to leave the Marvel Studios just as that role, being the president of Marvel Studios, especially for such a long time. As they read, with the MCU coming off of a very rocky year this past year of 2023, arguably, would Kevin Feige ever consider leaving Marvel and stepping away from the universe that he's built? And as far as the year goes, 2023 wasn't necessarily Marvel Studios' most successful spin around the sun. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania drastically underperformed, Secret Invasion show was met with severe backlash, and The Marvels now is on track to become one of the biggest box office bombs in history, for Marvel Studios, in what they would call good, arguably. Even though, with a great many MCU movies and shows still in the pipeline for future releases, faith in the Marvel brand seems to be on a record low just coming out of this year. This has prompted some segments of the audience to question whether studio boss Kevin Feige would ever actually step down. And this isn't to blame Kevin Feige for 2023 not being the best Marvel Studios year. There were, of course, not so great projects, but let's think on the bright side, glass, half empty or half full type of scenario here. I feel like it kind of went every other project is kind of what some people have said, is that, Quantumania wasn't the best, Secret Invasion wasn't the best, The Marvels wasn't necessarily the best, but think about all the other projects in between, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Loki Season 2 here. Those were pretty awesome projects, arguably maybe even some of the best Marvel Studio projects. Johanna Robinson, insider and co-author of the recent Marvel Studios tell-all book, MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios, was a recent guest on Matthew Bellani's podcast called The Town. During her interview, she was asked about how much longer she thought Marvel Studios president and chief creative officer Kevin Feige wants to do his job taking on this role. Robinson had responded that the place of where Feige wants to be is making movies himself, saying that, in quotes, "I don't know, because for time, I was wondering if he would want to take over Disney in the ongoing Bob Iger succession in question. No, but absolutely not, right? Because he wants to make movies. Like, whatever he does, he wants to directly have his hands in making movies." Ending that quote right there, just really saying that Kevin Feige is a much more involved filmmaker, I think, at that, than taking on just like a role of like what Bob Iger is as a CEO of Disney. And I think that the role of having him as the president of Marvel Studios is like as far or as close that he would get to that, or as far as he would want to get from that. Bellani had interjected, remarking that he could see Feige taking over Lucasfilm, although Robinson actually agreed with that comment, saying that, in quote, "That's what I'm saying. He could take over Lucasfilm, Star Wars, because he is more of a Star Wars guy than he is a comic book guy. So, like, if a vacancy opens up at Lucasfilm," ending that quote right there, it's been a long-running gag, I think, or even question that's kind of remained, even a rumor, speculation that's been going on for years at this point, is that, Kevin Feige would take over Star Wars, would take over Lucasfilm, taking over Kathleen Kennedy in her role. But most recently, it doesn't seem to really necessarily be the case, especially seeing that as he had revealed himself at the Marvel's red carpet premiere when asked about his Star Wars movie that was in question for the last couple of years at this point, just simply phrasing and saying, "Oh yeah, that's not happening anymore." So at that point in the conversation, Bellani had chimed in again, asserting that they were not making any sort of suggestion that current Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy, to be clear, would and should step down from her role, and then immediately contradicted himself. And while she could see Kevin Feige possibly making the jump to Star Wars if the opportunity were to present itself, she feels it's far more probable that he stays put at Marvel Studios. It's just what he does best at that, saying that, in quote, "If Kathleen Kennedy is tired and they can blame her for that, then that is something that I think Kevin Feige would want to do. But other than that, I think he sticks with the empire that he's built." Ending that quote right there. This comes amidst reports that Feige was being spread quite thin across the MCU's many entries in the recent years, just taking on a lot, even while he hasn't been involved as heavily as he used to be in a day-to-day operations. This year all being said, the general consensus is that in order for the MCU to level out after a string of particularly uneven releases this past year especially, they need to slow down considerably and focus on quality over quantity, and this is what everybody's been saying for the last couple of years at this point, and I think that Marvel Studios is taking note of that, having only one Marvel movie releasing next year, that there being Deadpool 3. Despite that though, they do have a couple of shows releasing as well, and despite the Marvel's extremely weak run at the box office, many agree that it's a fun, funny movie with a lot to like. It just happened to come out of the middle of a perfect storm caused by waning Marvel interest, a finkery general audience, and the fact that the film stars couldn't promote it due to the actor strikes, but are surely making up for it as it's now concluded. Nevertheless, it bombed badly, but the MCU will have a lot of spark in it going forward. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, as I had mentioned, was highly critically acclaimed, and Loki Season 2 raked in all the accolades as well, maybe arguably being some of the best Marvel projects in years. Marvel Studios can and very likely will turn things around for itself with its next tentpole film, Deadpool 3. Feels like it's on track to be quite a hit. Fans love Ryan Reynolds, take on the wisecracking Merc with a mouth, and Hugh Jackman will be along for the ride as well as the iconic Wolverine, and so many other rumored around characters. Don't even get me started on that. As much as it is a mistake for comic book evildoers to assume that they can best Marvel's roster of heroes, it would be an equal error to count out Marvel Studios as they begin the process of course correcting. So Kevin Feige leaving Marvel Studios over a couple of bad projects that he didn't necessarily cause directly himself, it's a definite no. I think that was kind of a given from the get-go, but still nonetheless something interesting to discuss, think about, quander at that, as I had to mention at the beginning of this video. Guys, this all being said, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you want to see with the future of Marvel Studios, the MCU? I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial MCU. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. Peace out.